Is the Earth flat or round?
It's not okay to say that the Earth is flat. It's not okay. We've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful. All those
Pictures from space. Those pictures are not fake.
We have video of the rotating spherical Earth.
So I don't really know what's going on right now with this Earth is flat thing.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
One of the things you can see yourself, if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake.
See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up and then...
It's no longer visible beyond your horizon.
And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. As a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved. And that means that as it goes farther and farther away, you see less and less of the bottom of it and more of the top of that.
Mic drop.
That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. You would simply see the boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it went farther away, but you'd be able to see the whole thing with the same proportion. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat.
So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science.
What is science?
It's a famous experiment conducted by Eratosthenes.
And Eratosthenes noticed that there was a town called Syene, and on a certain date, the sun would actually shine straight down to the bottom of a well. That meant the sun was directly overhead. You could look down a well and see the sun shining back at you. And on the very same date, farther away in the city of Alexandria, that didn't happen.
How can we use this observation to see if Earth's surface is curved? We needed another well. Turns out we can't see the bottom of both wells at the same time. What might explain this? Well, there are two possible explanations. First, we could have a flat Earth with the sun that's small and close by, so that the light hits the second well at an angle. Or second, we could have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel. With a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel.
In science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
If you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience.
He didn't know what gravity was. Einstein gave a better explanation. We're probably going to get a better model later.
We're
looking at light, and we are understanding about the materials, right? We're understanding the composition of things based on light.
The difference between pseudoscience and regular science is whether or not you can test it.
No, they can't observe. It's too far away. It's too theoretical.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
You cannot reproduce the Big Bang, but you can then trace the history of what happened afterwards, like a murder mystery, and that's where a lot of science is done. All the things that were once considered science fiction are now centerpiece in our understanding of the nature of everything.
It's all science fiction.
Tesla had something to say about those guys. He said, today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality.
Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Science delusion is the uncritical belief in these dogmas, treating them not as beliefs but as truths. There's a conflict between science as a belief system and science as a method of inquiry, which is about finding out what we don't know through systematic inquiry, the experimental method, hypothesis, and so on.
Empirical evidence tells us that either the surface of the Earth is a flat plane or the planet is at least 100 times bigger than we are told.
Science!
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
Feel that academia, as the holder of truth, plays an essential role, particularly today.